Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the Rave Green TV YouTube channel. And fellas, we need to have a little talk, okay? You and me, a little father-son action. We need to have a talk. This video is brought to you by a question left by one of our members. If you guys don't know, we have a YouTube membership where one of the perks of it, which is my favorite perk, if you become a member of the channel, you can leave us any question you would like about the Sounders, about world football. We can answer any question you want. I can give you a full breakdown of how I look so handsome in every single video. One of our amazing members left us a question. Curtis Chad said, should Jesus be the 10 and drop Rusnak into the pivot after we sell Obed? We will answer this question, but it really just inspired me to make this video because, fellas, we need to have a talk. We need to have a talk about our marquee move of the last window, trading for FC Dallas star Jesus Ferreira, our new number 9, the guy that was brought in as the marquee signing, the man who's going to revamp the attack, this, that, and the third. We need to have a little chit chat about him, okay? It has been nearly 20 games now of Jesus Ferreira in a Sounders uniform, so I feel like that's a good enough time to kind of gauge what he's been like to start the season. And the main topic of this video is just, should we be worried about Jesus Ferreira, or better yet, is Jesus Ferreira the next Sounders bust? And now, before we get into anything, if you have not yet already, please leave a thumbs up on this video. Helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And that YouTube membership I was talking about earlier, if you want to be someone who asks us questions and we will either make a video on the question that you ask, or we will find some way to incorporate heavily that question that you ask us. Either way, you will be involved. If you want to check that out, it's very, very cheap. And ultimately, you're supporting the boys. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Listen, before we even get into that, we need to revisit the trade. It's been a while, right? It was all the way back in January, like December, January when it happened. So we need to revisit what we gave up for him. So if you guys do not remember, we gave up $2.3 million in Garber Bucks, as well as Leao Chu in a trade to acquire Jesus Ferreira. Leao Chu at the time, I mean, reporters were saying likely worth $1 million, maybe less. If you get lucky, maybe $1 million. But in total, let's just say we gave up around $3 million when you combine Leao Chu and Garber Bucks. At the time of the move, I felt like, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this video, I thought I was the biggest defender of the move when it happened. Because I thought for a guy who as recently as not even 2 years ago had a $13 million offer come in for him, to get him for that kind of value, I thought there was a lot of upside there. I understand that Jesus was coming off a poor season where he was dealing with a lot of injuries, but I thought the upside was there. So I did like the move. And to be honest with you, I still don't think the value is, like, looking back at it now, I still like understand why we made the move. And you look at guys like Evander and Lucho Acosta, those guys went for a lot more. And I know that, I mean, not Lucho anymore, but Evander is obviously playing at a fantastic level. So it is worth that money. But compared to what he had done previously in the MLS, along with his USMNT pedigree, I liked the move. And then now we need to talk about what were the reasonable expectations of Jesus Ferreira. Because, listen, I hate to burst your guys' bubble, but if any of you guys thought this was a one-for-one replacement with Raul Ruidiaz, y'all need to get familiar with who Raul Ruidiaz was in his prime, okay? You're not getting prime Raul Ruidiaz in a trade for $2.3 million Garber Bucks, okay? So if that was your expectation, then you were destined to be let down, okay? I hate to break it to you. But let's just talk about what reasonable expectations actually were, okay? A lot of people just talking about, when you watch Sounder prediction videos or Sounder player prediction videos, it seemed like the general consensus was Jesus Ferreira stays healthy the whole year and plays a lot. He's going to be around a 10-10 guy in the MLS, not including all comps. Those were the reasonable expectations of Jesus Ferreira over the course of the season. That, I'm not going to lie, that was roughly what I thought he would do too. Maybe a little less, just from the standpoint of we had a lot of attackers, which means a lot of rotation was going to happen regardless of how well he played. But generally speaking, that was about reasonable expectations for a guy who's had seasons like that, if not better before. And then now let's take a look at what Jesus Ferreira has done. Okay, this is recorded a day after the San Diego match. And as of this recording, Jesus Ferreira has played 19 games, all comps, 1,176 minutes, 1 goal, 7 assists, which 2 of those are 2 secondary assists. Looking at those numbers, it is a bit disappointing. When you really put those numbers into context, a lot of his best work was against Antigua in the CONCACAF Champions League. And guys, the competition does matter, okay? You can't just box score watch. You can't. I refuse to do it. I know he had big games against them. The opponent was not good. So we need to take that into heavy consideration. The reality of the situation is, and I can say this as someone who defended this move heavily when it happened, Jesus Ferreira has been a letdown. And I'm not just talking about stats. I'm not just talking about stats. I mean, even just looking at the stats in general, like if you have a player on your team through 19 games that has 1 goal and 7 assists, it's not horrible, right? It's not like you're contributing zero. To me that's a complete bust. Is when it's basically De La Vega last year because of the injuries. To me, that's a complete bust, contributing literally nothing. But Jesus Ferreira has been a disappointment, and believe it or not, it's not for even the box score numbers for me. Just watching Jesus Ferreira, I've watched this guy for the last 4, 5, 6 years now. He doesn't look as lively anymore. It's like he's a bit slow to everything. He's constantly offsides. His speed is not what it used to be. And it's crazy that I'm saying this about someone who's 24 years old, but he just doesn't look as lively. And that's the biggest thing for me, because even watching him for FC Dallas or for the USMNT, he was always finding the right spaces to find his way to get a big chance. Even against top competition, like Jesus, it's felt like he's got himself in some positions, but nowhere near as much. And his hold-up play hasn't been very good. His finishing has been very good. A lot left to be desired. I mean, when you finish a game with nearly 2 xG and you walk away with no goals, it's tough, bro. It's tough. And I think to answer the question, is Jesus Ferreira a bust? To me, no, because a bust is someone who's completely contributing nothing. But he has been a disappointment, and I think a lot of it can also be attributed to the fact that he's being a bit set up for failure, in my opinion. Yeah, he hasn't looked the best. He hasn't looked as lively as you would like, but Jesus Ferreira is not an out and out 9. Okay, we can all agree with this. And I know he's had seasons where he's scored goals, but anyone who's watched him knows that this brother's best position is not as a 9. Okay, Jesus Ferreira, when he's played any of the 3 attacking positions, specifically the 10, he's looked solid in my opinion. He's linking play well. He's playing quick. He's a smart player. That's the one thing that has impressed me that I knew about him just from watching him. He has a good soccer brain. He wants to play quick, and he wants to pick out stuff quick. He wants to run into space. He wants to make good runs. He's a smart player. And I think this just best suits him as someone playing behind a 9. I think he needs that 9, and he can be the support behind. That's, to me, where he's looked the best. And playing in those positions, that's when he's contributed the best. The unfortunate problem that you run into, and I want to tie this back to what our member said, Curtis Chad, Albert Rusnak, that is the issue. Jesus Ferreira's best position is the 10, but when Albert Rusnak is healthy, guess who's playing the 10? Albert Rusnak. And deservedly so. He's looked very good this year, in my opinion. Sure, he's had a few moments where you're like, Albert, typical, not, running as hard as you like. His set pieces haven't been great, which was his bread and butter last year. But Albert has been, all things considered, very good, in my opinion. And you can't take him out of the game when he's healthy, especially when you're playing that 4-2-3-1. To me, he has to be a mainstay at the 10 until further notice. So then you have Jesus Ferreira, who's just kind of like this misfit toy almost. He's not going to really play the 10. You can play out wide, but, at best he looks solid there. He can play up top, but doesn't really look like he's in place there, and you just have this piece that you just don't really know where to put him, and ultimately it just leaves him being a backup when everybody's healthy. I mean, you're not going to sit Kent or Pedro, or honestly even like Rothrock when he's playing good. You're not going to sit Albert. You're not going to sit Jordan. Then you got Masowski, obviously, who playing hot right now. So you just have this guy who doesn't really belong, and that to me is also very disappointing. Surely when you made this move, you had the idea of where you want to put Jesus Ferreira, what you want to do with him. And if the idea was to have them replace Raul as the 9, you screwed yourselves from the beginning. Really, you did. If your plan was to have him be the 10, why did you bring back Albert Rusnak? If your plan was to play him out wide, I mean, you traded for his buddy Arriola, and you also have Pedro de la Vega as well as Rothrock and Georgie. Ultimately, it is disappointing. So again, the move just it doesn't really make sense anymore when you take a step back and look at it. And there's a lot better business that Sounders could have done that we didn't end up doing. And it's okay to say that. I mean, people wanted to gaslight you, making articles about Craig Weibel's cooking. You just have bad taste. Sometimes it's okay to call a move uninspiring or a move showing a lack of ambition. It's okay to say these things. It's okay to have criticisms. And if you just sit back and applaud everything, then you get mediocre moves like this, and then your team suffers because of it. Anyways, that's just a bit of a side note. All in all, Jesus Ferreira, it is disappointing. It is a bit worrisome. I've seen the excuse, well, he's adjusting to this new team. He's the youngest MLS player to 50 goals. He's played in this league his entire life. He's playing in arguably the best team he has ever played in. You can't compare it to someone like Pedro, for example, going to a completely foreign country, never left his home country his life as a 22-year-old kid, immediately taking the legacy of Nico Ladero. Like, it's just not the same. It's not the same. He never played in this league before. It's different. It's completely different. Jesus has not only played in this league before, he's succeeded in this league before. So I'm sorry, I can't give the pass of always figuring out the new team for this long, bro. It's been 20 games. I mean, bro, it took Ryan Kent, just all Ryan Kent needed was more than 30 minutes of play to show how much of an impact he can be, Jesus Ferreira, I can't give that same grace to him. I'm sorry. Now, do I think Jesus Ferreira is a bad player? No. No, I don't. I think he can be useful in all positions. Striker is obviously not where you want him to play, but I mean, we even just saw in San Diego, he was able to create a little half turn and shoot and score. So I don't think he's terrible. I think he can provide value, but ultimately, as the move that was presented, and when you look at the numbers, this was the biggest offseason move. Ultimately, it does fall short. It does come up short. And listen, with the impending return of Jordan Morris, we're going to see not as many chances for Jesus Ferreira, I think. So I don't see it getting a whole lot better. I sure hope it does. I hope in the time that he gets, he can turn around completely. But ultimately, I am left a bit disappointed. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to make this video just to talk about our biggest offseason move and how he's looked and fared over the first 20 games of the season. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please put a thumbs up on the video, subscribe if you are new, and ladies and gentlemen, have a blessed